In this lesson, we're going to talk about finding the perimeter, circumference, and area for basic shapes. So a perimeter, that's the distance around a figure. So I like to think about it like if you're trying to fence off a figure, that would be the perimeter. So in this case, it would be like this part, right? If you're trying to find a pen for your pets. So that's a perimeter. We add up all the values around the figure. Area is the space inside the figure. So it's how much space you have inside the figure. That's the area. Like that. Area is generally going to be like we multiply to find it, so you're going to get feet squared or units squared. And perimeter, since you're adding, you just get straight out units or feet or centimeters, right? No squared. Okay, let's go through the individual figures. So first, a square, right? A four-sided figure with 4 right angles and all sides equal. So this is an example of a square, right? Perfect square. Now, a perimeter is always the same thing. You just add up all around. So it'll be 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, or 12. Or we can use the formula for a square, which is 4 times s, right? If one side's s, then they're all s. So we have 4 sides, so it'll be 4 times 3, and we get 12 meters. Because again, you're just adding some 3 meters plus 3 meters plus 3 meters plus 3 meters, 12 meters. Now, if you want the area of any parallelogram is base times height or length times width. So in this case, it'd be 3 and 3, because they're all 3. Or if you want the special square formula, it's just s squared, because it's just going to be the number squared, right? Side times side. So in this case, we get 3 squared, which is 9 meters squared. Again, in this case, the units are squared because you're doing 3 meters times 3 meters. Meters times meters is meters squared. So perimeter was 12 meters. Area was 9 meters squared. We could do the same with the rectangle, right? So if I want the perimeter, again, you could just add around. 2 plus 5, this would be 2, that would be 5. Add up all around. Or if you want to use the formula, it is 2 length plus 2 width. Right? You just double each side. So we're going to get 2 times 2 plus 2 times 5. So I get 4 plus 10, which is 14 meters. Again, you're just adding up all the meters, so you just still get, actually centimeters, sorry about that. So 14 centimeters. Area of any parallelogram, it's base times height or length times width. So we're going to do the same thing here. So area is just going to be, let's say, length times width. It doesn't matter which one's which, but we have 2 centimeters times 5 centimeters, which gets us 10 centimeters squared. That's our area. Okay. A parallelogram. So far side figure with opposite sides congruent and parallel. So this is a parallelogram. As long as the opposite sides are congruent and parallel, it's a parallelogram. And you find it just like a rectangle. Same rules. So my perimeter. Now keep in mind in this case, the perimeter is the outside. So it's going to be 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6, right? Don't be fooled by the 3. Perimeter is the outside. So again, if you want, you can use the formula. That's still there. I'm just going to go 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6. We get 20 inches. Like that. Now for area, don't forget, area we're going to do base times height here. And it's very important because the height means something. Height is always a right angle. So I always think of a height like this. I'm going to draw like a little right angle. That's our height. So height has to be a right angle. So our height's going to be the 3. That's the height, not the 4. 4 slanted. Height straight up. So this is our height, and then this is our base. So it's going to be 3 times 6. Again, 3 inches times 6 inches, so we get 18 inches squared. So our area is 18 inches squared, and our perimeter is 20 inches. So there we go. Trapezoid. So now trapezoid, interesting figure, right? So first let's do the perimeter. And all we're going to do is just add up all the outside, right? So don't overthink it. Just add that, plus that, plus that, plus that. So my perimeter is going to be 6 plus 9 plus 7 plus 4. So we get, what is that? 15 plus 7 is 22 plus 4 is 26. So 26 feet. Like that. Now the area is where it gets interesting. So you could do a couple ways. You could try to make triangles right here and then add the 2 triangles plus the middle rectangle. But we do have a formula we could use. So that's the area of a trapezoid formula. Area of a trapezoid has a very special formula. It's 1/2 the height. We talked about the height already, right? Height is a right angle. It's a 5. Then we have to do base 1 plus base 2. So a trapezoid is a 4-sided figure with exactly 1 set of parallel sides. And that set of parallel sides, right here, the 4 and the 9, this side right here, those are your bases. So this is base 1, and those are your and that's base 2. So the parallel sides are your bases. So if we're going to substitute this in, we get 1/2 the height, which is 5. Remember the height is right angle. And then base 1 plus base 2. Base 1 is 4. Base 2 is 9. So 4 plus 9. So we're going to get 1/2 times 5 times 13. We'll do that first. That is 65 over 2. And I can't do anything. So it's 65 over 2 feet squared, because it's still area. You're still multiplying everything. So you could do it like that, or you could do a decimal. Either way is fine. Okay, let's move on to triangles. So triangles, same idea. Perimeter is just always the same, right? So the perimeter of a triangle, all we're going to do is add up all the outsides. So 8 plus 11 plus 9. So 8 plus 11 plus 9. Let's add these two first. That's 20. So 8 plus 20 is 28 meters. Again, perimeter is always just the units, right? You're just adding up all the units, so nothing changes. Area of a triangle, though, very special. Area of a triangle is half of a rectangle. So it's basically like you cut a rectangle in half. Or a parallelogram in half, right? If you cut it in half, you get 2 triangles. Same thing here, right? 2 triangles. So it's the area of a parallelogram divided by 2. So if I use that formula, right? Area equals 1/2 base times height. So again, keep in mind, height matters. Height is a right angle. So this is my height. And my base would be the thing that's perpendicular to it. So that's my base, right? That's how base and height work, right? So that's how it worked here too, right? My base was 9. Well, in this case, a little different, but my height was 5. Over here, right? My height was 3, and the base was perpendicular to it, so it was 6. So it has to be like that. So that's my base and my height. So substitute it in. 1/2. 6 times 11. I'm just going to do 1/2 of 6 first. That's 3. And then 3/11 equals 33. So 33, look at my units, meters squared. So we did triangle, we did trapezoid, parallelogram, rectangle, square. Only thing left. Let's do a circle. So first, let's remind ourselves what a circle looks like. So this is a circle, right? It's all points the same distance away from a given point. That given point is our center. So let's go over some key terms. A radius. Radius is the distance from the center to the endpoint. So like that'll be our radius right there. The diameter goes, so radius goes halfway, right? Diameter goes to full length. So it's like you put 2 radiuses together. It's like double radius. That's a diameter. So like this example, here's a diameter. Right? If I went this way, that'll be diameter. So that's the relationship between these two, right? The diameter is just twice the radius, or you can think about it the other way. Radius is just half a diameter. So it's very important to understand the ratio between those two. So it's a very important relationship. So next, circumference. So circumference is essentially the perimeter of a circle. Right, so circumference is all the way around the circle. Kind of like that. That's a circumference. And a crazy thing happened. If you got any circle you make, if you make a circumference, and then you divide it by its diameter, right? So you get the length of this, you measure it out with like a string, and you divide it by the length of this diameter, you're always going to get the exact same thing. A number that's 3.14159, and it keeps on going, also known as pi. So no matter what circle you have, that always happens. You measure the circumference divided by the diameter, you're always going to get the exact same special number called pi. So that does a couple of things. First, let's just figure out the circumference. We go backwards and go, hey, since we know the circumference divided by the diameter is pi, if we multiply both sides by the diameter, we get the circumference equals pi times diameter. Or if you want in terms of the radius, right, and we know the diameter is 2 times, the diameter is the same thing as 2 radiuses, so we get 2 pi r. So both of those are ways to find the circumference. So you can use either one. The more popular one is circumference equals 2 pi r, but that's where it comes from. It just comes from the fact that literally the way you get pi is you get the circumference divided by the diameter. If you rearrange that, you get circumference equals pi times diameter. So if I was trying to find the circumference of this guy here, it's going to be circumference equals 2 times pi times the radius. Our radius is 4. So we get circumference equals 8 pi. Like that. I should say meters. And again, circumference like perimeter, it's not squared, it's just meters. And if I want the area, well, area formula is area equals pi r squared. So area of a circle is pi r squared. And the same idea. Whatever the radius is, substitute it in, and you get your answer. So in this case, we're going to get pi times 4 squared. That gets us 16 pi. And that will be meters squared. And the reason is I should go back actually, right? It's 4 meters is my radius. So if I square that, we get pi times 16 meters squared, which gets us 16 pi meters squared. So that's how you find the area of a circle, right? So circumference of a circle, the circumference equals 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So all you have to do for a circle is find what the radius is, right? So if you can find what the radius is in a circle, you're golden. You can find the area, you can find the circumference, you can save the world. That's all you need to do with the circle is find the radius. Okay, let's finish this up. This is the last couple problems. A square has an area of 49 inches squared. What is its perimeter? So first let's write down what we know, right? So the area of a square is 49 inches squared. So area equals 49 inches squared. We want to find out what the perimeter equals. Luckily we have formulas for all these, right? We have a formula for area of a square. Area of a square equals s squared. So right here, we're just going to write that as s squared equals 49. And we have the perimeter of a square. Perimeter of a square is equal to 4s. So we can figure out what s is, and we substitute it in, and we have our perimeter. So all we have to do here is get rid of the square. So we're going to square root both sides. So s is going to equal 7 inches. Right? When you square root both sides, you square root the square here. Right? So 79 becomes 7. The square goes away. You just have 7 inches. Substitute it in. 4 times 7. It's going to be 28 inches. That's my perimeter. Okay, last one. A circle has a circumference of 10 pi feet. What is the area? Okay, so same idea, right? Circumference equals 10 pi feet. And I want to know what the area is. But we have formulas for both of these. Circumference, particularly, equals 2 pi r. So that 2 pi r equals 10 pi. I use the 2 pi r one because we're going to find the area formula. We're going to find area. And area formula is pi r squared, so we need the radius either way. So that's why I use that formula for circumference. And all we have to do is solve for r. So first things first, how do we get rid of the pi's? Well, there's one on each side, so they just cancel out. You divide by pi if you want to be technical about it, but they're going to cancel each other out. We have 2r equals 10, and all we have to do is divide by 2. So r equals 5. Now that we know the radius, right, that's all you need to do. You can save the world. If you know the radius, you just have to substitute it in. So my area is going to be pi times 5 feet squared. 5 times 5 is 25 pi feet squared. And there you go. That's the lesson.